You're not on a watch list because you bought a gun. You're on one because you bought ammo. A few boxes of brass, a shipping label, and a digital receipt are all it takes to light up a dozen government dashboards. So how the hell did ordering M855 online turn into a federal red flag? In this video, we'll talk about the 10 ammo purchase loopholes the feds are quietly using to track gun owners. From MCC codes and shipping manifests to AI-driven surveillance tools like Palantir and LocateX, we'll break down how your most routine purchases feed into something that looks a lot like a registry, but isn't called one. You'll learn how state ammo databases get funneled into federal fusion centers, how bulk buys get flagged even when legal, and why reloading your own rounds no longer keeps you invisible. Whether you're grabbing 9mm for the range or stockpiling powder for peace of mind, your activity is being watched, sorted, and scored. This isn't tinfoil talk. It's happening right now, across multiple platforms, and it's all completely legal. So sit tight. We're about to unpack how every trigger pull begins long before you ever chamber a round. Banks slipped merchant category code 5723 into the world of plastic payments in late 2022, after Amalgamated Bank lobbied the International Organization for Standardization to create a tag for gun and ammunition shops. The pitch said the code would help card processors catch traffickers, but every swipe inside a gun store, from a $2 patch to a pallet of cartridges, now rides the same digital pike that flags casino withdrawals and wire fraud scams. California ordered processors to keep using the tag even after Visa and MasterCard public relations teams claimed they had paused national rollout. So, Golden State banks still funnel ammunition totals to compliance bots that search for frequency spikes and bulk thresholds. 5 boxes of range fodder might squeak through unnoticed if the bank's risk score for your zip looks sleepy. Yet a single online order for 1,000 rounds of MagTech 115 grain 9mm at $299 in Sacramento can trip the same internal rule that chases money-laundered cash advances and throws your name in a suspicious activity report. Branch managers rarely even know it fired. The report lands at the U.S. Treasury's FinCEN office, where software first designed to spot narcotics. Profits pivots to chart how often and how heavily you visit retailers with that MCC. From there, the data walk themselves to ATF's e-trace portal under a gun-related financial anomalies program announced without a press release. Privacy advocates can scream about Second Amendment chill, but the phrases "know your customer" and "counter-terror finance" carry more weight than a stack of amicus briefs. And MCC 5723 has become the tow hitch that links everyday ammo shopping to the same federal scoreboards that watch for straw purchasers and cartel smugglers. Most Americans wouldn't even recognize the code on a transaction log, but to the feds, it's a breadcrumb. And enough breadcrumbs make a trail, especially when algorithms are trained to follow it straight to your door. Ordering from patriotic-sounding websites feels safer because the cart page welcomes you with founding father quotations. Yet the back-end commerce plugins feed straight into Amazon Web Services nodes that dump name, billing address, IP, browser fingerprint, and itemized SKUs into a snowballing customer insights vault. Midway USA updates purchase metadata every 30 minutes. Optics Planet sells weekly aggregator snapshots. Even the boutique veteran-owned startup that sells federal Syntec 124 grain cases for $330 a pop still rents anonymized trend charts to LexisNexis because ad revenue keeps the lights on. LexisNexis, in turn, maintains multi-million-dollar contracts with immigration and customs enforcement. And because those contracts cover publicly available commercial data, ICE analysts snorkel through SKU bundles looking for patterns, such as repeated total synthetic jacket buys in suppressor-friendly states. The Fourth Amendment never enters the chat. You clicked "I agree" when the pop-up mentioned marketing partners, so the federal desk jockey gets the data without asking a judge for probable cause. If that analyst also pulls card processor feeds showing the same customer spent $475 on a case of green tip M855556 next door in Nevada, the algorithm behind Palantir's Gotham platform boosts the risk coefficient from recreational shooter to possible stockpiler. Just in case you've never heard of them, Palantir Technologies is a private data analytics company that builds software for government agencies, law enforcement, and intelligence services. Palantir's Gotham is an intelligence and defense tool used by militaries and counterterrorism analysts. It was originally funded by the CIA's venture capital arm, InQtel, and is also used by agencies like the FBI, ICE, and local fusion centers to fuse disparate data streams, financial records, court filings, social media behavior, utility bills, into a single, profile-driven interface. Gotham's mission is predictive policing, mapping out who might be a threat based on patterns, not proof. That's why it matters here. When your ammo order data enters this system, it doesn't just sit there. It gets scored, ranked, and remembered. Online merchants defend the practice by pointing at industry-normal data monetization rules. Home improvement stores and vitamin shops do the same, but the difference lies in how gun control nonprofits mine those feeds to produce anonymized heat maps that invariably migrate into gun violence grant proposals, and how easily federal task forces can pivot those maps back to named individuals once a subpoena lands on the cloud provider. Every loaded cartridge that hits a conveyor belt earns a hazmat pedigree. After 2021, the old ORMD diamond gave way to DOT's UN0012 and UN0014 markings, yet the information pipeline remains. Sender, recipient, weight, and hazmat class live in universal manifests for at least 5 years. FedEx and UPS built searchable hazmat dashboards so security teams could yank a box if the feds phone about explosives. Those dashboards also let ATF's trafficking units sort shipments by caliber class, origin zip, and receiver name in seconds. No warrant required. Place an order with a coupon that drops PMC XTAC M855 to $474.99 per case. Add $17 for hazmat, and the parcel travels under an ID number that literally begins with H. The label shouts, "Cartridges, small arms to anyone with a scanner." Should a regional fusion center request the week's log of H-class packages headed toward border counties, your tracking number sits right there beside shipments of laboratory pyrotechnics and fireworks. The shipper's lawyers shrug. DOT required the retention. Carriers collect extra handling fees precisely because auditors expect them to perform this data stewardship. Once the box lands on your porch, the transaction feels finished, yet the shipping manifest lives inside a searchable compliance archive that anti-trafficking analysts cross-reference against eBay sales, gun show surveillance feeds, and good old-fashioned Facebook brags whenever they hunt for straw pipelines. And while you're peeling off bubble wrap, a browser tab 500 miles away may already be sorting that barcode into a color-coded list, one that says more about your future visits to the range than any gun registry ever could. Armor-piercing handgun ammo went illegal under the 1986 Law Enforcement Officers Protection Act. But each year, the ATF ticks boxes that let certain rounds skate through an exemption if they serve primarily sporting purposes. Green tip M855, steel core 762 by 39, and even the oddball SS19257 by 28 survive on that fragile legal island. The catch? Ammunition makers must spoon-feed the Bureau market analytics, proving nobody is hoarding the stuff for some Johnny Jihad fantasies. Winchester, Federal, and PMC supply sales volumes, retailer counts, and end-user surveys because losing the exemption kills millions in annual revenue. Your invoice for 4 boxes of green tip at $11.50 a box may feel insignificant, yet it rolls upward into spreadsheets that the ATF later cites during congressional briefings to argue that the majority of M855 remains in sporting channels. Anti-gun lobbyists counter with the same spreadsheet rows to claim the opposite, painting the round as a cop killer masquerading as plinking fodder. Either path gets paved with the raw numbers you produced simply by chasing the latest free shipping deal. If a future bureau director decides trends drifted tactical rather than sporting, the exemption evaporates overnight, and ownership of remaining stock might drop into a legal gray zone familiar to anyone burned by the pistol brace whiplash saga. And if that exemption gets revoked mid-cycle, retailers could be banned from shipping more, FFLs might refuse transfers, and buyers who ordered a day too late might find themselves black-bagged into a compliance mess over ammo that was totally legal just 24 hours earlier. California's Department of Justice quietly issued an internal memo in January 2024, urging distributors to flag transactions over 5,000 rounds or $2,500 for manual review. Fiocchi 124 grain 9mm sells for $249 per case. Grab 21 cases to prep for a charity pistol match, and you've crossed both money and volume triggers. The distributor uploads buyer name, order number, shipping address, and caliber mix into a secure portal that shunts the packet to the Western States Information Network. State analysts bundle that with MCC data from your credit card provider and send a courtesy tip to ATF's Los Angeles field office. In some cases, even the shipping method gets analyzed. Expedited deliveries with short turnaround times are treated as red flags, especially when ammo is shipped to non-residential drop locations. Outside the West Coast, wholesalers talk about compliance best practices, where any purchase weighing more than 60 pounds of net propellant sparks a soft query from their banking partners, because hazmat insurance premiums spike if the books can't prove extra due diligence. One ammo reseller in Oklahoma mentioned that a flagged customer had their entire order history quietly audited after placing a 3-case buy during a promotional weekend sale. A range owner in Louisiana told me his bank froze a $7,000 reload components order until he produced his FFL paperwork. He runs a business. The system still flagged him. Ordinary citizens sit lower on the priority queue but face zero mechanism to appeal if their number lands on someone's suspicion dashboard. And once it does, they may never even know. It's not like anyone sends a notice. Gun shows once promised near-cache anonymity, yet license plate readers now frame every entrance at convention centers in Arizona, Texas, and Florida. ATF's Phoenix Group 7 van parks at the back of the lot, routes plates through the National Crime Information Center, and pipes live hits to patrol units lurking along the interstate. Facial recognition cameras hidden in exit signs sample crowds to match DMV photo libraries, courtesy of Clearview AI contracts signed under public safety budgets. Some vendors now report unusually timed booth audits after shows where large volumes of ammo were moved for cash. A father might pay $330 cash for a crate of Red Army Standard 122 grain 7.62 by 39, then haul it past the same exit sign he used coming in. Software already stitched the purchase together. Plate number matches the booth's camera feed where that distinctive green crate traded hands. Bluetooth and Wi-Fi sniffers mounted at entrances can also log which smartphones were inside during the event, even if no one took a picture or opened an app. That data, when pooled with facial matches, adds a second layer to the surveillance dragnet. 2 months later, an FBI agent reviewing militia-related chatter notices the family sedan appears in more than one gun show file and pings local deputies for a knock and talk. Nothing illegal happened, yet the normal practice of paying cash for affordable Russian-spec plinking ammo creates a future thread for investigators to tug should your social media sarcasm ever cross some bureaucrat's fuzzy red line. The anonymity people once trusted at gun shows is evaporating, replaced by invisible sensors, networked records, and algorithms designed to remember more than any human ever could. California's Proposition 63 imposed a $1 background check on every ammunition transaction. But the true cost hides in the ledger lines. Each swipe vaults caliber, quantity, date, and driver license number into the automated firearm system. New York's Secure Ammunition and Firearms Enforcement Act reboot added a $2.50 processing fee in 2024 and mirrored California's data fields. Shoppers there shell out $34 for a box of Winchester Super X 308 and tack on the state fee, effectively making range practice dearer than ribs at a ballgame. Cooperative agreements feed those same purchase files to the FBI's NDX warehouse each quarter. Once ingested, the dataset loses its state-only label. Analysts in Quantico can build national heat maps showing where 2-3 surge weeks precede political rallies, or how hollow point demand spikes along commuter corridors after major crime events. Gun rights lawsuits argue the scheme builds a de facto registry. State attorneys general insist it's no different than Sudafed logs. Either way, your every 30-round top-up session now lives forever in a unified crime information hub that never, ever deletes. In Connecticut, even 22 LR transactions are recorded in full, and ammo buyers are required to hold a valid state-issued ammunition certificate or pistol permit. The system cross-references not just the buyer's eligibility, but also past denials, firearm ownership history, and even flagged incidents from civil restraining orders. In New Jersey, where digital ammunition logs are tied to firearms purchaser identification cards, law enforcement can run retroactive queries showing who bought what, when, and how often, with no judge's sign-off required. As more states follow suit, private ammunition logs are evolving into comprehensive behavioral dossiers. Once enough data points exist, Algorithms can begin building predictive models, not to stop crime, but to flag buyers who simply don't fit an approved pattern. Buying 1,000 rounds of blazer brass at $259 flags practice shooter, whereas a single case of federal HST 124 grain-jacketed hollow points at $750 implies defensive mindset. Mix in Remington Subsonic 9mm 147 grain at 36 cents a round, and algorithms conjure a suppressor-equipped assumption. As mentioned earlier, Palantir's dashboard assigns numeric scores for each factor. Full metal jacket means low, JHP or bonded soft point escalate, steel core or tungsten penetrator escalate more. If your cart combines plus P buffalo bore at $40 per 20-round box with green tip M855, the blended profile edges toward tactical planner. Law enforcement clients license this scoring model to sift bloated data troves for watchlist candidates. None of the ammo choices violate any statute, yet the risk score can motivate local fusion centers to place you under passive monitoring. Palantir's Gotham operates on relational data modeling, meaning it doesn't just flag the buyer, it builds linkages to purchase timing, device IDs, geographic clustering, and even your proximity to prior flagged individuals. If your ammo history overlaps with what the system tags as preparatory behavior, it can silently push your identity into a person of interest column. That column might be monitored by a fusion center analyst in silence for years. Because these scores are generated by third-party entities like Palantir or Babel Street, government agencies treat them as proprietary tools, not investigative actions, dodging constitutional disclosure by citing intellectual property protection. Attempts to challenge the score, correct inaccuracies, or even view your own profile are often stonewalled by non-disclosure agreements between law enforcement and their vendors. It becomes a one-way mirror. The government sees you, but you never see what they're saying about you. As the scoring model becomes more sophisticated, even benign ammo orders, like match grade 308 or defensive 10mm, can snowball into risk signals when cross-referenced with internet search history, forum posts, or travel habits, all without ever picking up the phone or knocking on your door. Reloaders escaped early dragnets by transforming commodities into cartridges in the garage, but components now carry conspicuous price tags and even louder data trails. Winchester small pistol primers drop to $49.99 per thousand, and bulk buyers scoop 10 boxes the moment the price alert pings, triggering a hazmat fee around $19, plus ORMD labels that feed the same carrier dashboards used for factory ammo. Powder Valley lists 8-pound jugs of CFE 223 at $320, each jug coated under UN0161 smokeless propellant. Buy 3 and you blow past the 60-pound weight threshold that signals commercial quantity. Retailers must file an ATF Form 5400.4 when shipping that much energetic material to a residential address, so your doomsday reloading bunker theory lands directly in an explosives tracking database. Lead, the final leg of the reloader's trinity, skirts most federal oversight, unless purchased in bar form. Even that loophole may slam shut. EPA rulemaking dockets floated in April 2025 propose reporting requirements for raw lead transactions above 50 pounds, citing environmental concerns. If the rules finalize, your thrifty wheel-weight hoard becomes a line item in yet another digital file. Several state agencies, including those in New York, New Jersey, and Illinois, have quietly begun linking bulk shipments of primers and powder to local firearms licensing records, flagging those who appear to be manufacturing ammunition without a formal Type 06 FFL. In 2023, New Jersey's State Police Firearms Unit reportedly began auditing ammo component shipments that exceeded $1,000 within a 30-day period, targeting buyers who lacked commercial loading credentials. Some freight companies facing liability pressure are now requiring signatures upon delivery for powder and primer shipments, further tightening the paper trail. And because most online reloading vendors rely on third-party payment processors and shipping APIs, every component of the order, from card swipe to tracking label, is stored and searchable. Reloading may still offer self-reliance, but in a surveillance age, it also means you're voluntarily building a profile with every brick of primers you add to your cart. Data brokers occupy the final loophole. Babel Street markets a product called Locate X that merges smartphone location pings with commercial transaction feeds. Gotham also hoovers county court filings, utility hookup changes, and MCC-tagged spending patterns. A single sync result can show you bought a case of Syntec, visited a gun show 2 counties over, and opened a new checking account, all within 23 days. Gotham's threat triangulation widget transforms those events into a red, amber, green portrait, graded against a proprietary standard the vendor calls militia vibrancy. Turn the dial higher, and layers like your gym membership, political donation history, or encrypted messaging app usage float into view. Agencies contract for this as open source intelligence, even when half the feed arises from data you never intended to be public. Humans then act on the color bar. Sometimes it spurs nothing beyond a line-level note. Sometimes it triggers a quiet knock and talk. The system's opacity means you remain unaware until a deputy hints, "We just had a couple questions about your recent purchases." Babel Street's Locate X drew national scrutiny in 2020 when it was revealed that the Department of Homeland Security and Customs and Border Protection used it to bypass warrants by purchasing commercially sourced location data. This tactic allowed federal agencies to track device movement near gun shows, pro-Second Amendment rallies, or specific ranges known for night shooting, flagging users whose devices returned to the same commercial ammo vendors weeks later. Meanwhile, Palantir's Gotham platform is used not just by federal agencies, but by over 600 state and local law enforcement agencies, some of which operate with no formal oversight of how they use third-party metadata. These platforms don't just observe behavior, they predict it. If you've posted about reloading on forums, searched for 308 armor piercing, then placed an ammo order the same week, the system may flag your profile for behavioral convergence. It's not a warrant, not a charge, not even a formal file, but it's a digital shadow that lingers. And because these profiles are brokered as proprietary intelligence products, not public records, you have no legal right to request, review, or refute what's been assembled about you, even when it influences how law enforcement sees your next ammo purchase. And that's a wrap. Have you ever had a shipment delayed, flagged, or questioned? Do you think Palantir and Locate X should be banned from scoring lawful citizens? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this eye-opening, hit like, share it with your crew, subscribe, and don't forget to click that bell for more. Thanks for watching.